Look, let's check. We are all good. So hopefully, Craig, we are live, but what we usually do is wait a little bit of time just to see who's first on.
Yeah.
Dave, I know you like to do the honors to check that we're live.
The thing is, it's not showing up on my computer before someone comments, so I guarantee someone will comment in a minute.
We always wonder who's going to be the first one today. Let's have a look. Who's going to be the first one? If you just joined us, do drop a comment in. Just be nice to see who's on the live. Of course, Evertrack. I'm not giving them any prizes for that.
Angus Ross.
Hey Angus, how you doing? I hope all is well. Richard.
That's a strong Scottish name, Angus Ross. Very strong. My mother would love that.
You'll probably come back now saying he's not Scottish.
There's some heritage. There's some heritage there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say.
Got to be. What we got? We got Marky V. We got Stuart. We got Chris. Great stuff. Nice to see some Evertrackers on the live. We've got Dan, Bri. Hope all is well, guys. I'll give Craig a little bit of an intro so you don't think it's just some randomer on the live today. So Craig has joined us from CLIF. Welcome.
Hello.
Onto the I was going to say call then, onto the live, Craig.
You've been saying call a few times lately. It just defaults to call.
It's weird.
But very happy to have Craig with us today.
Yeah.
One of our partners that we're very excited to have on board. So yeah, he's going to come and share his knowledge and expertise about the world of CLIF.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers, Craig. And also as well, we've been doing a little bit of a giveaway over the last kind of week or so. With some freebies around, some CLIF bars, but also some caps and hoodies. Dave, have you got a? You are really well branded.
Yeah, that's it. Like honestly, I would have worn the hoodie, but it is surprisingly good quality, and it's really warm in here today, so I can't quite do it. Brilliant. But this is.
I was gonna say it would be warm in there.
You'd run hot anyway. It's great.
It's big, isn't it?
It's made from bits of real cliff.
There you go.
Yeah. No, Craig. So we got a bit of a winner announcement. So we'll be doing that kind of in about maybe 20-25 minutes.
Sounds good.
And then we'll do our kind of regular Q&A afterwards. So we've got Craig for about half hour. So Craig, we may as well kind of go straight into it. I mean, if you can give us a little bit of a background. I know obviously you're from CLIF.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for the intro there, gentlemen. Very nice to be with you, of course, this afternoon. And a big shout out to all your viewers tuning in this afternoon. Hello and welcome. As the gent said, probably a bit of an intro into CLIF Bar. So CLIF Bar as a company was actually set up in 1992 in California. Yeah. That's still where the headquarters is based. And I mean, for those of you that have bought or held a box of CLIF Bar before, you may be familiar with the kind of origin story. Anyway, I'll quickly whiz you through it now. It is on the back of packs, so you may have come across it. But essentially, the guy who set up the company, a chap called Gary Erickson, he was living in California at the foot of the Sierra Nevada mountains out there. Basically, he lived at his parents' house, but he converted the garage. So he lived in this converted garage, and he was a bit of a kind of beatnik type dude who played his trumpet and used to go for walks with his dad and the dogs up in the mountains type thing. Nice. Really nice, really laid back guy. But he was also bang into his endurance cycling. Story goes, 30 plus years ago, he went on a long, when I say long, it was like 170 miles bike ride a day type thing. So, like a stage on Tour de France or what have you. So pretty serious cycling, him and his mate.
Yeah.
And during the course of this, because they'd be out there for hours and hours, and they obviously need to fuel their exploits, their kind of cycle journey. And back then, as you can probably imagine, sports nutrition was pretty ropey. It wasn't really even well established as a thing. And what was available was not great. It was purely built for performance with not a consideration to the ingredients or the actual customer eating experience, if you like. So anyway, long story short, they got halfway through this ride and he knew that he needed energy. but literally couldn't face yet another one of these horrible energy bars that he had at the time.
Yeah.
And he said he had this epiphany moment where he's like, well, actually, because his mum was a really good kind of home baker. And I think she may have even been a baker by trade. So basically, he then spent like a year and a half or so in his mum's kitchen with his mum, working through recipes to settle on the original CLIF Bar, which was like an energy bar to support your active pursuits, but that tasted good and was sourced from really good natural organic ingredients. So that was, this is like early 90s, so when organics wasn't really on the radar for most people. He wanted to do things in the right way. It was important to him not just to have something that tasted good, but was made in the right way and was, not damaging the environment and the planet, through the manufacture. So basically did that, and then he went around. He used to just turn up, just chuck bars in the boot of his car, drive up to like half marathons, cycle events type thing that were pretty casual, pretty low key back then. Events became quite a big thing, and he'd just like give out all these CLIF bars, basically saying, I'm trying to launch this new product, try these, and the feedback was like overwhelmingly positive. And that's kind of how it all began, and it all kind of cascaded from there. That suddenly there was this real demand, this real, he suddenly tapped into this market that he maybe wasn't particularly aware of, that was so big that actually there was a need for some really decent nutrition out there. And that's kind of how it came about.
It's really interesting.
I love that,
because the first time I've ever heard that as well, about like the start of a journey. And it's funny, I think someone else said about I think it was Jerome. Hey Jerome, how you doing? Hope all is well. About Microsoft started in someone's garage. These garages, they got a lot to answer for.
I think it's these Californian garages, because
they're huge.
The garages that you have in Wales, generally they're leaking. There's a little bit of mold. Californian garages are near the beach. They're quite warm. But no, I love that. Like, so it's a proper family business set up. And also the guy must have been a fortune teller, because even then, like people weren't thinking about sustainability and ingredients, all of that sort of stuff. And he sort of it strikes the right tone now, like 30 years later or 40 years later, however it was. So
it's been a while.
Fascinating.
It's it's really interesting, because I think you hit on a couple of things there, Craig, around, and I know a lot of Evertrekkers who are on the live today with been to places like Everest Base Camp, some of them to Kilimanjaro, Toubkal, Machu Picchu, a lot of these kind of places, but a lot of them as well supplement that with a lot of training. And I know, Craig, we caught up yesterday and we were chatting about different things, and we talked about kind of running and outdoor pursuits, where not necessarily the big stuff, but the important stuff to prepare you to get to the big stuff. And I think certainly in terms of a market, you mentioned there about he'd stumbled upon a kind of market that was almost accidental, but it worked clearly. But CLIF bars are used all over now, aren't they? Especially if you're a runner, if you're whether that's a trail runner or even just doing half marathons on roads, cycling,
absolutely.
All that stuff.
I mean they really are. I think it's like you say, the actual the interest in kind of organics and sustainability has really kind of come on leaps and bounds, but also that just kind of wellness space as well. People are more interested in the quality of the food that they're consuming. They're more likely to flip a pack over and look at the ingredients on the back and go, look, there's a lot of E numbers, there's a lot of artificial, God knows what is in there, that I'd rather not be putting into my body, because we just, none of this is been future proof. We don't know, what eating this is going to do to us 20 years down the line or what have you. So I think
it's true.
The younger generation are a lot more clued up and switched on about that kind of thing. So that crosses over into kind of more mainstream as well. So I think that you're right, there is a growing market for that kind of good nutrition. I think also as well it does kind of feed into the fact that we all just seem to squeeze so much into our working lives. I think probably because of all the tech and what have you, we always do have we can we might not be at the office or in front of our laptop, but we've got our phones, so we can still carry out work and still answer emails.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, but you know, even when stuff, you know, because the company I work for was American, so I would do my day's work, and then I finish 5, 6 in the evening, and then all my colleagues come online. So my emails inbox is forever going ping, ping, ping throughout the evening. And I try not to, but you know, and if it's urgent, I like, I'm on it, and I'll do it then. So we don't really kind of switch off, you know. So that there's less and less time. So I get the sense, and I think studies show that the whole kind of growth in kind of general snacking as well. Don't make the time like they used to sit down and have a family meal around the table. Everyone's busy doing this, that, and the other, doing their own thing, and so you grab a quick bite, and you know, people just snack. That seems to be, you know, you might have, you know, 5, 6 snacks a day rather than 3 regular meals type thing. So it definitely works in that arena as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's important. I think if someone can crack the snack market, but to be fair, though, we've got quite a lot of these. I have about 3 a day.
I was going to say we've got a good stash.
There's like a good stash of them there that we've kicked over, and
they're still in date as well, which is
No. Well, I know when I started working for the company, you know, like 2009 or so, and I was doing a lot of the event work, kind of turning up at a lot of the expos and just events with my little booth, and just essentially doing what the owner did, you know, in the early 90s, and just giving product out, because, you know, what better way to, you know, sell your product to someone than to actually, you know, if you've got absolute belief in your product and you know that it's great, all you got to do is give it to someone and say, well, that, you know, there ain't no sales pitch. The sales pitch is in the eating of the product.
Is in the product.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's super nice. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do, and I would just put, you know, I had this kind of, you know, free supply of CLIF bars, and because I genuinely loved them, I was just chowing them down the whole time, and of course, because, you know, they are intrinsically an energy bar, so they do have all those functional ingredients, so they've got a good balance of fiber, protein, carbohydrates, fats. You know, they've got a good level of sugar in there, because of the functional benefit. Because if you are going to be active, whether that's, you know, on an expedition, or whether it's intense like training, or whether it's even just going out to walk the dog in the, you know, the local park for a couple of hours, you know, you're still active, you're still going to be burning calories, and you need to in some way. So that's the only caveat I would say is, like I said, fill your boots, eat them, but just don't forget, it is an energy bar, so
it's not just for the office. No, it makes sense, isn't it? Big shout out as well. There's a few other trackers on here. Derek Ferguson, first time on a Tuesday tuning in, although I've always faithfully listened to the podcast. Welcome, Derek. If it's first time that's live, welcome. I know it's certainly changed over the last few years, but I hope you've been enjoying it. There is actually a question, Dave. I know Jerome's thrown in one there. We may as well.
Because Jerome has asked, so are CLIF bars suitable for those trekkers and athletes with diabetes, or is that something that's going to be like a work in progress with the bar?
Good question.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, my honest answer is that obviously I'm not medically trained. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really, you know, speak to individuals about what specific type of diagnosis they may have, or that kind of thing. But what I can say is that our CLIF bars generally are designed to be a slower release, so more of a kind of low GI type concept. So, you know, rather than an instant sugar rush, I mean, there are a blend of simple and complex carbs in there, but it's more designed for the slow, prolonged energy release. So you shouldn't necessarily get that sugar spike, which I believe is a consideration around diabetics as well. So, but I'm not that well informed about the different types of diabetes and what the recommended kind of intake should be, but in terms of the energy sugar release, that's how it works. I
mean, it does lead us on to, because we do have that slide, don't we?
I'm going to bring it in as if by magic.
Which
maybe you've got. Let's have a little look. We bring this in. What goes into a CLIF bar? There we go. Look at all this. This is a well put together slide. I got to be honest, Craig. Can you see that? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is really just because obviously there's a lot of products in market, you know, a lot of other bars on shelf and what have you, and all with this, that, and the other claim. And being honest, our CLIF Bar, I think, has historically been viewed as more of a premium kind of offering. Although I would say now, with all the price increases and food inflation that's been going on over the last year or two, it's actually quite middle range now. But just as just to try and show consumers or customers, what work goes into the CLIF Bar, and how some of the environmental issues and sustainabilities are important to us. It's not just about banging out a CLIF Bar with maximum profit type thing. It's very much built into the fabric of the brand. What we do is about kind of giving back as well. So if I just whiz round from the top, the family and employee owned. So as I was mentioned, it was the guy that set it up 30 years or so ago, right up until, in fact, actually, this has changed until last year.
I was going to say that.
Last year, because obviously the guy's getting older, so he's in his 70s now. So it's like, how much longer do you want to be in charge of this big company? And anyway, long story short, they did sell it last year, so it's no longer family and employee owned. So it's slightly old, but it was for 30 years.
We'll cross that one out.
And they had several offers to sell before that, but didn't really want to, because they wanted to run business in their own way. So living wage, that kind of speaks for itself. So living income project for farmers. So obviously organics is a big part of what we do and our kind of growing partners. But the kind of backlash to that could be, well, actually you could have a farmer who is producing organic produce that you're buying, but the way they treat their staff is disgraceful type thing. So before we partner with a new farmer or grower, then all that is fully explored and looked into, and made sure that it's not just the guy who owns the company, who owns the farm, that is standing to gain from our relationship. It's every single employee there as well. Sustainable packaging. So this is an issue. The whole plastics in the ocean and everything, and reducing waste in general. So that is something that we have signed up to the Ellen MacArthur pledge. But it is tricky, because at the moment our CLIF Bars are plastic sealed, because obviously in terms of providing a shelf life, because we don't have any artificial preservatives or anything in our bar, which a lot of our competitors do, so they get a longer shelf life. So we don't have that, so we have to seal the bars so they they are good to eat for a decent shelf life. Also, though, we're aware that a lot of our consumers will take them out and about with them, and because they're to support your active pursuits, then you might be getting sweaty. So if you've got a cyclist like the owner who's out on a 8-hour bike ride with this in his jersey, it's gonna he's gonna be soaked in sweat. So having a paper wrapper isn't gonna work.
Been through that.
So it is kind of tricky. Zero waste at the bakeries. So that's a big thing they've managed to do. So there's 2 main bakeries in the US that produce all their bars, and they have got it down to zero waste emissions there. Community service that's something that every single employee of the company is asked to complete a minimum of 20 hours volunteering in their local community. So basically,
it's really good.
They, on CLIF time, we get to go out and whatever you choose to do. So some people, I live down in Brighton, so I'll quite often go and do a beach clean, or there is in the community in the neighbourhood where I live, there is a volunteer action group there that kind of tidy up kind of streets and get rid of graffiti and stuff like that. So having a real investment in your community. So that's something that they encourage you and what you have to do. 1% of obviously profits go to good causes and charitable stuff. Investing in organic research. So they've spent millions and millions and millions, and not just on organics, but on also taking those policies to government level in the US, and trying to bring about change. Not just in what they do, but encourage other people to do the same. So nothing genetically modified, any of the ingredients.
Yeah.
So everything plant-based as well. That's something that they're really into. Yeah, appreciate that a lot of people are kind of choosing to follow a more, or perhaps a flexitarian type diet. So they're just reducing their meat intake.
Flexitarian, love that.
Yeah, flexitarian, yeah.
Flexitarian, yeah. Renewable energy. So yeah, through their charitable donations and what have you, they've done amazing things like created loads of wind farms on schools and stuff through the US. In fact, on the roof, they're built one of their big factories in the US. In 2010, when it was actually launched, they had the largest solar roof arrangement in North America. I think it's
fantastic.
It's been beaten, but yeah, that's all these things essentially feed into not just making a bar, but it's about how can we make a bar with minimum impact to the environment and future generations, and just doing things in the right way, being really conscious every step of the way, and every person you touch on that journey is supported to do the right thing. We all know that we should be making these choices, but sometimes finance or availability or what have you comes into play, and we can't always do what we maybe like to. So they've gone, you know what, we understand that, and we're going to help people make better choices along that supply chain. So yeah, every step of the way, they're really conscious of that.
Awesome.
Thanks for walking us through that as well. I do like a good slide.
It's brilliant. One of the products I wanted to give a shout out to, because I tried it recently on a bike ride, but perhaps more impressively, Jodie, who works for us, is a bit of a long distance runner, as I think you are as well, Craig. So she's recently did the Manchester Marathon.
I think so.
Yeah, Jodie, and she used your new blocks.
Right.
Which I think are amazing, because one thing I always struggled to do whenever I was training, if I had an energy gel, they make me feel a bit sick.
There's a dip, isn't it, afterwards, definitely.
And there's something quite, I don't know, I don't find them very nice. They're not very enjoyable to do. And as soon as I have one, I do feel like it's an issue to get down. With the blocks, I think are amazing. Have they proven to be really popular, the blocks? Because I
mean, for those of you that I appreciate this might be back to front. For those of you that don't know, that's kind of,
we should mirror it.
Essentially, how they come, and so each pack is kind of like that, and they have 6 little blocks in there, and 3 of those blocks, so half the pack, equates to an energy gel. And like you say, most people that have done endurance sports, what have you, have come across energy gels. And to your point there, Dave, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anyone in my life ever say, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to the next time I get to take a gel." It's one of those things. It serves a purpose. It does the job. But it's not. They tend to be not particularly pleasant, and they can be a bit messy and all the rest of it. It's not particularly pleasant experience. And this was the thing, because we used to do gels, and we still do gels in the US. But we used to do gels in the UK. But the feedback we kept getting was, "Oh, well, they're just messy, and they upset my stomach, and all the rest of it." And so essentially, they went back to our innovation lab and kind of went, "Well, there's a lot of people that want to take this, this supplement, but is there a different format?" And they kind of conjured up this idea of doing them in like kind of a soft fruity chew. So for those of you that have that, in terms of texture, it's kind of halfway between maybe a wine gum and a Turkish delight. So it's quite soft in it, and you don't get any of that sticky messiness, and you don't need the same volume of water to flush it down like you do a gel. And I think one of the other great advantages, the issue you mentioned there, Dave, about feeling a bit icky afterwards.
Yeah.
I think, particularly if you're pushing your body quite hard, so you've already got quite a lot of demands on the body. So when you squeeze a whole gel in, and because they're quite concentrated, and they dump themselves down to the stomach, suddenly your blood has to rush to your stomach to try and digest this,
Right.
And it's like a whole load in at once, and your body can't quite cope with it, and it's like, oh, this is a bit too intense.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it rejects it, particularly if you're having to have, if you are out there, like the owner I mentioned, or if you are doing an ultra run or what have you, you can have, most people will be having a gel or equivalent every hour, even every half hour. So if you're out there for 8 hours, that's a hell of a lot of gels you've got to chow down. And
it is, isn't it?
It gets to the point and you go, you know what, I just can't do anymore. So then you stop because you're feeling sick, but because you stop putting the carbs in, then there's problems not far down the road.
Because I reckon it'd be worth trialing these blocks for altitude, because something that happens at altitude quite a bit, Craig. Certainly with me, I know other trekkers that obviously have been on like Everest Base Camp or Kili, is that you lose appetite. And it's really interesting because, I've used gels myself. Like if I'm having a bit of a dip or I haven't got much energy, especially after, like, I'm going to use Everest Base Camp as an example.
Yeah.
You do expend a lot of energy getting to Everest Base Camp, and you still got 3 days to get back.
Yeah.
And the return journey, even though it's technically reduction in altitude, it's not all downhill. They call it Nepalese flat, so it's very up and down.
Right.
So sometimes you're going up a 400-meter hill, and mentally you've already kind of like, I've achieved what I've got to have achieved. And sometimes you do have that kind of that dip in energy, and I've used energy gels and things like that. I'd like to try these blocks. I think
they're really good. Honestly, they make
they
make a difference for me, because I know there's a lot of gels out there. They're easy to get.
Yeah.
But they've never quite. You know what I'm like as well. I got a sensitive stomach.
Yeah.
So especially if I'm doing a lot of intense exercise, I've got to be kind of careful, because I'll throw up anyway just for the for the exercise. I am one of those people. So if I put a gel in, I distinctly remember when I ran the Cardiff half marathon, and I put a gel in for the next 5 minutes. I was trying to like hold it down, and I tried multiple ones. Some are better than others, but I've never been able to find something. So I tried the blocks, which were kindly sent in, and I just grabbed the pack when I went out on my mountain bike.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll try them because I'm not going to have time to eat. And then I thought, I'll try them halfway round, and honestly, just fine. It's like
nice.
It's like eating wine gums. You don't really notice. You just sort of eat it and go down, and you don't feel bad. It's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, through speaking to consumers at events and stuff, those people that are like, say, running London Marathon or what have you, a lot of people have fed back to us, and it's like, they're great. I actually use them as part of my running strategy. That actually to help break the race down. That runner might say to themselves, right, every 2 miles, I'm going to reward myself with a block. So it's like,
brilliant.
So you're chased down as everyone recommends you should, because the concept of running that far is a bit mind-blowing. So if you go, right, I'm just going to do 2 miles, and then, yay, I've done it. I get a little reward. I treat myself.
Yeah.
And I think, like you were saying there, Andy, about the mental side of it, that definitely, the longer you're out there doing whatever you're doing for, the mental side becomes a greater and greater factor. You have to have that mental toughness and resilience and positive, and it can be something as simple as having something to eat that you're going to look forward to, rather than something to eat that you're going to have to struggle.
That is powerful.
I tell you one thing that happened to me as well.
I was just going to pick up on a couple of the things in the
can you see the copy? Go for it.
I can see the copy of kind of flag pricing and what have you. I do totally get it. There absolutely are cheaper gels on the market, and if they work for you, I'm 100% not going to knock that. What I would say is, if you do struggle with gels or do have a sensitive stomach, have a look at what's in there. There's generally all sorts of stuff that you won't be able to recognize in there. It's like, what is that? And that is part of the problem. So that pack, as I said, is generally between £2.50 and £3, but that's the equivalent of 2 gels. So it makes it, and these, obviously with a gel, you have to have it all in one hit, whereas this, you can just have 1 or 2 blocks and just fold it back.
Pack it away. I like that.
Next time, and I do sometimes think as well, it's about how much you invest. If you're training for a marathon and you're going to train for 6 months and put all that work in, and spend the money on shoes and your race place and all the rest of it, and then you can buy a gel and you can save 50p here and there. But in the grand scheme of things, if spending that extra money you know, ensures that you're going to have a better race day experience. To me, that's worth it. But
it's a really, it's a good, and it's interesting because as with any community, and the Evertrekker community is no different, is that, you know, we've got a good cross section of people who, you know, who want to save a little bit of money, but also like, you know, who love bars and things like that. Like, it's quite funny. You get Derek. I think gels are basically flavored phlegm, which I Derek, that's hilarious. But and then you've got Marky V, and you know, and he's a tough nut to crack. We're gonna have to work on Mark. But he's a gel fan rather than a snack fan. And I think it's a bit, you know, it's whatever works for you, right?
Absolutely. I would never, you know, if someone's got a strategy that's working for them, I would never try and persuade them otherwise. I'm like, great, excellent, that works for you. However, they may find that 6 months, 2 years down the line, oh, something's changed and it's not agreeing with me anymore, or they just fancy something different. And actually, I've you know, when we used to do gels over here, I actually, if I'm 100% honest, when I've run marathons in the past, I have actually adopted a half and half strategy. So I will have some blocks interspersed with gels as well. I can generally do a couple of gels or so.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it gets a bit there for me. But I would never, you know, obviously tell someone that what they're doing is wrong for them, because they presumably.
Yeah, you know, if it works for you, it works for you, doesn't it? We've oh, there we go. Marky V's happy to give the blocks a go. I think he's after some freebies, Craig.
Yeah. But I tell you, one other issue with the gels as well is if you're a mountain biker, generally there's a little bit of rough and tumble involved. You're gonna crash. And I remember one time crashing, not thinking much of it, getting back on my bike, riding for another hour, going into my bag to get some snacks, and there was a gel in there that exploded. And it, to be honest with you, it ruined my day. Ruined my day. Mental health and motivation plummeted after that. When I had to fish through my bag, my multi-tool was welded together. You know,
I was going to say, it probably ruined your backpack as well, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. It's it was grim. It nearly got thrown off the edge of the cliff. But
no, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I love, and this is great because we open up the conversation and we can chat about you know, energy, and whilst you're doing physical activity, and you know, you're right, Craig. You talked about thinking about it systematically. You know, I know if you can reward yourself after every 2 miles. Like, I really like that. I think, you know, and I think if to everyone that's watching, if you thought about that on a trek as well, you know, something that I know that, you know, personally I've done is that if you can reward yourself with just something that can give you a bit of a you know, pick me up when you've had a difficult, challenging day, it's gold dust. And I think that was a really good point. I like what you said there, Craig, and I thought that could be used across any challenge.
Absolutely, you know. Like you say, I think the actual the thought of what you're about to take on at the start of a challenge, if it's like a big challenge, you know, often is just overwhelming, and you can't start in that mindset. You know, you have to start, and you have to try and maintain those influxes of positivity throughout, and you know, doing whatever that may be, you know, whether it's eating or having something nice to drink, or having a friend come and meet you at a certain checkpoint, whatever it is, you know, if you can get all those things in place beforehand, then I guarantee whatever you're doing is going to be a much, much more pleasurable experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it.
Brilliant stuff. Really is. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do the winner announcement, Craig.
Let's do it. I'm excited. Yeah.
So there, I know it's literally, I wish we did have like a drum roll button. Zach, we need a drum roll button next time.
We're going to work on. There you go.
Something to work on. But no, so what we're going to do is, and as always in the Tuesday Tune In, everything always goes seamlessly, Craig. So there's never a tech issue or anything that goes wrong. So we'll see if this works. But anyway, what we're going to do, going to bring in the winner announcement. There are actually 3 winners. So Craig and Cliff were very, very, you know, it's fantastic. They've given us 3 prizes, but they're actually packs of prizes. So the kind of main one, which was this one, I'll bring this up first, which is like first prize. Hopefully this does show. Here we go. Nice. So that is like the first prize, but actually the second and the third, there's just a few bits that we've removed from this. So there are, it is very substantial, all 3 of these. I haven't got the second or third graphic, but just to let you know, if you are second or third, it's a good pack.
You might be minus a hat or something, or something like that. You know, is the way it might work.
So right, Craig, us and you are going to go silent. I'll bring in the graphic. That'll come on, and then we'll come on afterwards, and we'll chat about some of the different stuff. Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
But to everyone else, thanks so much for getting involved in the giveaway.
Oh.
Obviously, sorry, Craig.
I was just going to say, just something sprang into my mind. I can see quite a lot of comments and questions in the feed there. I don't know if there's a way that I can kind of coordinate with yourselves and actually respond to each and every one. You know,
Sure.
It seems right and proper that I should give some answers because we won't have time to go through all the questions.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can do that. No problem at all. They live forever in posterity on the Facebook feed.
Fantastic. Your customers, your community that actually, I'm not ignoring you, but I would genuinely like to answer all your questions because I know it's frustrating when you post it and don't get an answer necessarily. So
honestly, this is
afterwards.
These lives are a great repository for all of that stuff. We've got 3 years of Bry's bad jokes, all recorded for posterity online. So
super,
fantastic. Really appreciate that, Craig. Yeah, we can work that out obviously afterwards, and we can get back with the individuals. Yeah, and it's great, and thanks for offering that.
Do you want a drum roll?
Okay. Oh wow! Wonder what that sounds like. Okay, I'm going to bring it on now. Let's say good luck and well, good one that won. Here we go. Fantastic. Love it. That was hilarious.
Good work.
There we go. Good quality stuff there.
I'll bring them up individually now because I think they deserve a little bit of limelight. I'm going to bring in...
I'd like to take issue with one.
Oh really? Well, you mean this one?
Yeah. Look what he did to my face.
That is very funny. I got to be honest. That looks like something off the Goonies.
It looks like something. I don't know. It looks horrendous.
Very fair news to Dave. He's Dave Rimington. I'm hoping he'd be on the live today because he usually is, but he's always very creative. And well done, Dave. That was absolutely hilarious. I did enjoy the other ones as well. I think we've got this one, which I think was from Sophie.
Yeah.
Classic. Good play on words. I do like that. And then just very, very good as well. I like those strong. Thanks to everyone as well who obviously got involved with that giveaway, and ourselves and the team will be sending, get in contact with everyone who won one of those prizes, and we'll be obviously sending the CLIF pack and the everything together in the next kind of couple of weeks. Fantastic, great
awesome
stuff.
Good work, everyone. I love that.
That was brilliant. Well, look, what are we doing on time? We've got about 20 more minutes. I mean, Craig, I'm happy if you wanted to, because I know obviously this is your time. You okay to hang around for a little bit longer?
That's fine by me. Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, I know we kind of, because these things always kind of ebb and flow, and I thought it's kind of, it makes sense for actually you to be on. Just there's some good questions in there.
I'm happy to take any questions or what have you. Yeah.
Awesome. One of the questions that's come up is whether CLIF on their radar. This is from Chris. Whether CLIF are looking into the probability of a recovery drink or anything like that, or are you strictly in the edibles?
No. I slightly hesitate here, but I mean,
you're allowed to keep trade secrets, by the way.
No. Like in the US, where the brand is based and all the products are made, we do have, I slightly hesitate to say, but a much more extensive range over there, including recovery drinks and the like, kids bars, all sorts of recovery bars, all sorts of stuff. But as I alluded to earlier on, we were acquired by a large company last summer, and the expectation is that we will see a lot more new product coming through.
Okay.
And a
Nice.
lot more new product that has more of a UK / if I can still say it, European focus. Because that's always been the slight hindrance with being like a US company, and they sell like colossal volumes out there. Is that essentially, what gets offered to the UK market is what they produce for the US market or for the US consumer, which is a wee bit different to what our UK or EU consumer might desire over here. So because we are now going to be kind of governed by a European-based company, then actually, and I know they're doing market research as we speak, it should hopefully flag up what's missing from our portfolio in terms of what do our consumers want, what do they need, what are they looking for, even down to the different flavors or the type of product. All those things, should now be viewed through a more localized lens, as well, rather than through a US lens. So I'm hoping that those things will come, but at the moment, I just don't have anything to share because I don't know myself, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What,
to be confirmed. That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. What flavors are we missing out on in the UK? Is there anything extra in the US that you're particularly fond of?
I mean, there is. They have actually in recent times rationalised the range a wee bit, but I mean, I think they still have. They have, in terms of the CLIF Bar, I think they have about 16 standard flavors, and then they have like seasonal specials. Like they have a pumpkin one for Halloween, then they have a cinnamon bark or winter spice one type thing for Christmas.
Wow.
Which all these things always sound amazing, and of course, people see it online and they come to me and ask me, "Oh, have you got this? Have you got that?" It's like, no, I haven't. I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, they obviously do loads of like cookies and cream type thing is a big thing over there as well. They even have a kind of what they call a Luna bar, which is a kind of it's pitched as an energy bar for women. And the only difference being is that the blend of ingredients and the vitamins and minerals are traditionally the type of nutrient that women don't necessarily get enough of in their diet. So that sells really well as well. So there is a fairly wide range. If you do get to go to the US, and I understand, certainly like West Coast where they're based. I mean, CLIF bars are as easily available at literally, like you can go into pretty much any corner shop or garage or what have you and buy a Mars bar in the UK.
Yeah.
CLIF bars like the equivalent in the US. They're just everywhere.
That's great, isn't it? Because I think a few, I think Cliff has, I think Chris, not Cliff. My words haven't been flowing today. Chris Chris Collins mentioned about, when your products start stocking in some of the supermarkets. And I think, I think you've hit on a good point there, Craig, around, obviously in the US, they're everywhere, but it takes a little bit of time.
Yes.
And it's still taking time for it.
Well, if I'm honest, this is a piece of work that we are still waiting to find out from our new management as such. How we are going to manage the distribution, because historically, when we first launched in the UK 2009 or so, we only really showed up within sports retail, so running, cycling, outdoor climbing shops, that kind of thing, which is great, but it does kind of limit your kind of market in terms of if you just want more of a casual consumer who isn't into any of that stuff, they're not going to see it anywhere. So we do have limited distribution currently in Tesco's and Ocado, hopefully going back into Sainsbury's soon type thing. But I appreciate that is something that we do need to address. It's just a question of, whether we're going to put all our eggs in the general grocery basket and do all the multinationals, or whether we're going to, stay firmly within the realm of sports nutrition. I think that's part of the problem is it is, because it's an energy bar, there aren't many other energy bars out there that go into supermarkets. Even the sports fixtures that have started to go into supermarkets tend to be very weighted towards protein. So they've got all your protein bars and they've got all your protein powders. I've seen some gels in there. I've seen some SIS gels and stuff in there. but you don't see many energy bars.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Because
very true.
I think there's still this big uncertainty for the consumer. I mean, what is an energy bar? You know, when you see bars on shelf, you've got like you've got right down from your Tracker or your Cadbury's brunch bars, which are like £6 for £1 or something, in store, right up to the high end protein bars, which can be £3.50 in store, and everything in between. And to the consumer, it's just a bar, isn't it? It's all the same. And it's like, well, no, it's not. You know, that's and some people say, oh, well, your bars have got too much sugar in. It's like, yeah, with good reason. You know, you can't really have a low calorie energy bar because that's
you need it for the energy.
That just doesn't work. Yeah. But
I see what you're doing. Yeah.
So that's the concern, and I totally get it, and I understand. You know, that actually it's the right message to be, for the government and their bodies to be pushing out, that actually we do need to just actually check how much sugar we're consuming, particularly if you're more inactive, type thing. That is the right message to be sending. So I 100%. Get it that, a certain pocket of consumers will be looking for, low carb, kind of diet bars. Makes sense. Yeah. But not if you're going to go out and, climb a mountain or run a marathon or, do an Ironman triathlon or what have you. You can't do that on low calorie stuff. So
it's interesting. It's very interesting.
That education piece as well. So that is going to struggle for us in terms of, I think in Asda, when we were listed in Asda, we used to be in confectionery next to all the chocolate bars.
Okay.
In Tesco's originally, we used to be in, I think maybe still are, in pharmacy. So, with all the medicines and stuff, because all the vitamins and minerals, that's where they sat. And in Sainsbury's, it was just more your random bar aisle. So it's a pretty confusing message to the consumer in terms
of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like being in kind of niche areas isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like obviously we see them in like Cotswold Outdoor, one of our other partners. Obviously many outdoor stores. Because it's like you said, it's for that specific market.
Yeah.
And sometimes I agree with that rather than putting them in the supermarket. But I appreciate, you do put them in the supermarket, they do become more kind of mainstream, don't they? In that way.
I think that's it, and I think. Kind of discounting any additional sales and the additional volume you might drive through those channels. It's more an awareness thing. It's so many people will say to us, "Oh, I love your bars. I had them at such and such events, or I tried them there, or what have you."
Yeah.
I just never see them. I never see them in store. So it's one of those products that unless you actively go out to track them down, you probably won't stumble across.
Yeah.
But we know that once people do stumble across our products, we've generally got a customer for life, and then they do go out their way, and then they will go on. And a lot of people these days, obviously, if they know what they like, then they'll just go online.
They'll just exactly. They'll order it in.
Amazon.
So it takes away all of that kind of headache. Then you're getting exactly what you want. You can shop around, get a pretty decent price, and we do support promotions through various retailers throughout the year as well. So there are good times you can grab it and what have you.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is fascinating about that difference between like the energy bar and the protein bar, and how often on a trek or any type of activity outdoors, you'll see people pull out a protein bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there doesn't seem to be any much differentiation really within the actual supermarket itself as to what these bars actually do. Because like, what those like Dextro energy things do, you know pretty much what they are. But when you see two bars next to each other that are kind of just labeled as sort of fitness bars or like exercise bars, but actually are they like sort of like pre-exercise? Are they energy during, or are they post-exercise recovery? It is interesting. Actually,
well, you get quite a lot of bars. Well, you get quite a lot of bars. I think obviously manufacturers very quickly switched on to the fact that putting protein on the front of a packet is like a magic bullet. I'm surprised you can't buy like aerial laundry liquid with added protein, because it just seems to be you slap protein across something and suddenly you can charge more.
Everyone buys it.
People go nuts for it. Yeah. So I mean, without naming any names, obviously, there are a lot of bars out there with say high in protein, with added protein, source of protein, all this kind of thing.
Yeah, and people go for it. Yeah.
And it's got like about 3 grams of protein in the bar, and it's like that. Well, that might be high compared to a bar that has 0, but it's like I just think it's a bit kind of smoke and mirrors, and the consumers in the middle
it's
trying
true.
to make sense of it all. And there's also quite a lot of bars out there that, again, talking about the protein bars, that have got high protein, low carbs. Which is fine to a point, but if you're looking to replenish what the body has burnt through, essentially through exercise, then you need to put the carbs back in as well. So and I think some people, I can get my chocolate here, I can get all the protein without any of the carbs. So it all depends what you want as a consumer.
And speaking about altitude here as well, because obviously a lot of Evertrekkers spend a lot of time around altitude. Certainly when you're up there, you do lose, because you're burning a lot of calories. Your body's essentially in what we call a hypoxic environment, so it's the less oxygen. And your body is therefore going to its stores of fat and carbs and whatever is storing there. And it's because the first time I went to Everest Base Camp, I think I lost probably over 1 stone of weight because I lost the appetite and I wasn't replenishing my protein. I wasn't replenishing, the rest of the things you need, like the carbs and the fats that you kind of need if that's what your body uses for energy. Obviously, you've got the sugar and kind of that side of things as well. But it's when it does come to altitude, you do need to replace those things. And I think to every Evertrekker on here, do think about that nutrition. It's kind of, sometimes you can get away with it. I mean, sometimes I've literally gone to, an Everest Base Camp trek, and all I've taken is like a Snickers bar. I'll have Snickers and Mars bars, and that's worked for me. But then I know that naturally, because it doesn't give me everything I need, I'm probably also going to lose a little bit of weight, and I won't have the energy that I probably will have if I have something that's targeted, that's specific to giving me energy, like a CLIF Bar.
Well, the other thing I think with the cheaper sort of confectionery stuff as well, you do get those those spikes. One thing you mentioned earlier, Craig, was about it's almost like a slow release energy bar that's designed to kind of feed you over time, as opposed to if you do have a Mars bar, you'll feel great for half an hour and a half maybe, but then afterwards you're going to feel 10 times worse than you were before you ate it. I get this when I go out and I eat because a really popular thing is like Haribo sweets. Everyone who goes trekking at high altitude brings Haribo because you won't get anything like it in the Himalaya. And you'll be craving that sweet sharpness. But the thing is, when you're tired and a bit knackered, you'll have like 5 of them, and you'll be like, "Oh, I feel good. Okay, should we go up this hill? Yeah, I feel good." Oh.
And then you'll drop off a cliff. No pun intended.
And it is.
I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with all those. Like I say, those bits that maybe aren't sustaining you nutritionally, but are helping to sustain you mentally, are equally key. So I would say, there's definitely a place for those. There's definitely a place for for whatever you fancy. You should have it. Well, I speak to a lot of like ultra runners and people that are literally out there all day. And they, their approach to nutrition is, yes, they will have, the energy bars, the gels, the blocks, what have you, to make sure that they are getting the right nutrition going in, but they will also have whatever the hell they want. So if they want a pepperoni, if they want a banana sandwich, whatever it is, they will carry stuff around that actually they're not eating that for the nutritional benefit. It's more for that mindset thing again. It's like, actually,
just enjoyment.
Because there will come a time when any expedition or adventure or run or what have you, when you'll find yourself at a low ebb and you feel like stopping, you feel like giving up, and you feel like having a bit of a cry. And it's like in those moments, and maybe if you're halfway up Everest, what have you, you can't get on the phone to your loved ones and feel a bit better. Perhaps that's not possible. So, you need to have something that you can turn to go, this is silly, but it's
a little bit of home.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, exactly.
I love that. Having that variety is kind of key, particularly if you're doing stuff over a period of years. Even if you find the best goddamn energy bar or the best gel on the planet, you're having that every day or almost every day for years. There'll come a point and you'll go, nope, just can't do it anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true, yeah.
there's a lot of things that we do just for morale and mindset, you know.
Oh yeah, but I think we're good with the morale.
Even
you know, even if that's a shot of whiskey at Everest Base Camp, you know. It's like...
absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. It is one of those things, isn't it? That, you know, half the things that we do, and this isn't just trekking; it's like sea level. You know, like,
well, I say you can't do it like all. You have to taper it, and
like there's,
you know, with some actual nutrition.
There's very little that I do in a beer garden on a summer's day that would be considered nutritionally valuable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, morale-wise,
there you go.
You know that you feel absolutely fantastic.
So there you go. So next time you're getting, next time you're getting in the neck from the missus for sneaking off to the beer garden. So no. Mental health. Think of my mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about wellness. All about wellness.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Some nice comments coming in as well. Marky V, Craig, it's been a great session. Genuinely fascinating. Cheers, Marky V. Jim, big shout out as well. Sorry, I forgot to something completely off topic, but the Glencoe Challenge was the weekend just gone.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Evertrekkers on that, so well done to everyone that got involved and did that as well. We've done it kind of 4.5 times between us. 4.5 times. I
was going to say, where's the half? And then I remembered.
And then you remembered.
I've done it 1.5 times. It was the knee, man. I was fine.
Well, no, exactly.
Yeah, you know,
it wasn't nutrition.
It wasn't.
It was the ACL replacement. But you done well. To
ACL replacement. Yeah, that was a barrel of laughs. That was great. But yeah, no, well done to everyone that completed it. It's really good. It's a really good endurance, like trekathon, 26.2 miles or marathon distance over some pretty big steep hills from
and boggy ground as well, which is always tough.
From Glencoe to Fort William. It's a really, really good event. But you know, honestly, the first half of it, there is a bog. You feel like you're sort of, you know, a character in Lord of the Rings. I absolutely hate it. I refuse to do it again. If I was in Lord of the Rings, I would have happily dived in and lit a candle of my own. I absolutely hate it. I wonder how many nerds get that.
I was going to say, I wonder who did get that. But look, we're almost there now. Well, look, Craig, thank you so much, mate.
No worries. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
You know, it has been really insightful, and even just talking about it, it kind of sparks new things that we're kind of, you know, obviously we started to talk about. And Dave, you got any final thoughts? I always like to give you the last
no, honestly, I think I think what, you know, there's been a lot of sort of really golden nuggets there, Craig, that I think you're really valuable, mate. I really appreciate it. I think just putting it in everyone's mind, we would never have probably brought up because we talk about training and nutrition a lot when it comes to our treks, and actually never would have touched on the important difference between something like a protein bar and an energy bar.
Exactly, yes.
You know, and I can see there's some comments here from Danielle and a few others that are saying, you know, that alone is probably going to aid their training massively and prevent those dreaded, in the cycling world, we call it bonking. You know, it does, you know, anyone that knows what that feels like knows that you want to avoid it. And that could be the difference between having a protein bar and an energy bar. So honestly, mate, there's a lot of stuff that people can refer back to here. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the cap.
You are very welcome. You wear it well, sir. You look good in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I could do a little like spin there. You see?
I was going to do it, but I thought, is it a bit too much if we both do it? And I thought we can have our little Yeti here.
Yeah,
wear it instead. But no, Craig, thanks so much, mate. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure. Obviously, we'll keep in touch and you know, chat as we try lots of different flavors of these bad boys. So,
absolutely. Well, look, thank you very much, and let's say thank you very much to all your community that have kind of dialed in today, and you know, pulled up some great questions and what have you that I will follow up with, and just happy to spend some time with you guys and chat to all your community. It's been great,
Lovely.
Awesome.
All right, cheers, guys. We'll see you next week with another Tuesday tune-in. We'll obviously be in touch by email to let you know what it's about. But have an awesome week, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye all. Take care. Bye.